to have permission for is to take a photo, a screenshot. Again, using it for, that would be for our purposes, for publicity, that type of thing. So if if anybody has any objections to getting your photograph taken, again, could you do the same and pop your hand up? And keep it up while I check both screens. Okay. Right, well, that looks brilliant. Everybody seems to be quite happy with both those things. So now that we've got that, we'll get started. Well, I'd like to welcome you all to our first members meeting. It's first members meeting since our AGM, which was our last AGM, which was way back in 2019, and that was quite some time ago. And unfortunately, until we can all get together for tea and cake, we're going to have to meet by Zoom. Now, for those of you new to Zoom, please don't worry. We're going to talk you through everything. And for those of you with Zoom fatigue, we'll try with this, okay? Now, we have got apologies for tonight, so I'll read out the ones I have. We have apologies from Carol Rosey, Alison Moore, Magnus, and his second name escapes me. He's a board member though, and Jim Moore and Ali Gibbons. Has anybody got any other apologies they'd like to pass on? No? Brilliant, thanks. Okay, so we've called this meeting to discuss setting up a community benefit society. What we're going to do this evening is, firstly, we're going to have a presentation. Now, if questions occur to you during the presentation, pop them in the chat, but we'll pick them up and answer them at the end. But as I said earlier, there'll also be an opportunity for you to ask questions in person at the end of the presentation. After the question and answer session, we'll take a vote. And now we're going to do this using a poll. It's very easy. You just follow the instructions on screen, but we'll talk you through it. Now, can I just remind everybody that only members of the trust are allowed to vote? If you aren't sure whether you're a member or not, or you maybe want to sign up as a member, can you put a note in chat and we'll get back to you? And if you're a Zoom expert and you know how to do a private chat, a private message, you can actually private message Sand Ausnet, one of our board members, who will respond to you. Okay, is everybody okay with that? Any questions with that? Everybody all right? Great. So, and we do have a few staff members here, which is absolutely brilliant that you've come along to this, but I'm afraid that you're not able to vote either. You can't join in that part of it. So moving on, depending on the result of the poll, we'll talk about the next steps when we get to that part of the meeting. Okay, so everybody quite clear? Great. I'm now going to hand over to Joan Laurie, our Community Development Manager, and Emma Bremner, one of our board members, who will explain more in detail why we're here and more about a Community Benefit Society. Thank you. Joan and Emma.
Thank you, Helen. It'll just take me a minute or two to just get this keyed up. Here. Be quite as popular as our lost fundraising, popular than Halford Village Parish Council, I think, who got something like 700 members of the public along to their meeting last night. So hopefully we won't be too like them. So myself and Emma are going to run through our plans and tell you all about a Community Benefit Society. If you can please make sure that you're on mute, and just as Helen said, please don't be offended if we mute you while we're running through the presentation. It's just to cut down on any background noise. If you do have any questions as we're going through, just pop them into the chat box, or we're quite happy to take questions at the end. And we can do that just by putting up your hand, or you can use the reactions. So it's been a busy 12 months. I don't think that would have escaped much of your attention. And we've been pretty obvious in a lot of the stuff that we've been doing. But to just kind of rewind a little bit back to pre-COVID days. So prior to March 2020, we were embarking on plans to build Discover Thurso into an operational business plan, which stood out and washed its own face, Discover Thurso being our tourism project. The funding for it had ended and we needed to form a business plan and see how that was going to go forward. So we had plans for subscriptions, marketing workshops, and essentially building a social enterprise marketing company around it to support promoting the town. We were working on securing core funding support for our main staff, mainly me, and projects, and we're moving forward towards securing all the funding needed for the drill hall feasibility study. In March, all of that changed. The weekend of the 15th of March, a national lockdown was being heavily hinted at. For me personally, I was returning from social enterprise training for community leaders in tourism from Stranraer, of all places. A Facebook group had sprung up, and while well-intentioned, for safeguarding reasons, it was clear community groups needed to step in. So we did. Lots of frantic phone calls, forming of partnerships, including the Caithness Resilience Group. By the 20th of March, we were ready to go with a virtual call centre across the town. A dozen of us taking calls and a team of 147 volunteers. Some of you are here tonight, and thank you. In the last 12 months, we've supported over 500 people. Volunteers have driven too many miles now to count. We've done over £30,000 worth of shopping. We're still doing it now with over 100 volunteer hours recorded in January of this year. And core support offered to those either who are back in lockdown and don't want to go out, or for whom there's no other option. Generally, those are due to a health condition or because there's been a lack of daycare facilities resuming. We've had new volunteers, new services. Our meal service is so needed for both the food and to combat social isolation. Often the volunteer with a meal is the only face-to-face chat from a distance down a path that a community member has in a week. New initiatives, the sharing shed is aimed at reducing food waste, and so far over 10 tonnes of surplus food has been redistributed through our partnership with Seafine, and it is also supporting many families who are currently experiencing disadvantage. New partnerships, the Caithness Resilience Group, of which we're a part of and helped form, sharing our best practice of community support. We're recent COVID Community Cohesion Champions at the Highland Third Sector Interface Awards and have been recognised as a model across Highland region, with many areas in Highland now repeating the model that we established under the Caithness Resilience Partnership. We're also a key stakeholder and chair of the community work stream of the Caithness Pathfinder project, which seeks to address mental health issues experienced locally by young people. Oh, and we've got new staff as well. So Zoe is pictured. Sorry, you can only see part of her face, but I think we're all kind of getting used to that at the moment. Outside the sharing shed, who has recently joined us as a community development officer. We've always taken the position that whatever we do has to be based upon the needs of the Thurso community. It doesn't come from the board, the staff, it comes from you, our community. Prior to COVID, we'd launched our 5-year strategic plan, and we knew from the community consultation we had carried out to form this plan that there were issues of social isolation, inequalities, youth out-migration, and also issues in the way that Thurso looks and how it is presented. But COVID has meant that we aren't just hearing about it, we're day in and day out supporting it. From young people and families who have asked us for support because they are struggling with their mental health or feeling hopeless due to a lack of opportunity, to elderly and vulnerable people in the Thurso community who experience social isolation, feel excluded from community life, and can struggle at the very basics of having access to nutritious food. To those in our COVID-19 recovery survey who have embraced greater localism and want to address the climate crisis, while we have been working hard, we have also consulted our community on key issues like how we address COVID-19 recovery together, how our town centre can recover, asking our elderly residents what support they need in the future, and surveying about the climate emergency and how we address that locally. We've become a community anchor organisation, supporting not only organisations in Thurso, but also throughout Caithness via our partnerships, and are considered a leader within the third sector of Caithness and Highland. With all of those new needs have also come new opportunities. So in the past 12 months, new opportunities have come our way. New opportunities which we feel will address those pressing community needs. Towards the end of last year, we were approached by Highland Council to see if, following the success of Thurso Grows, we would have an interest in securing an asset transfer of the Thurso Greenhouses complex. These sit behind the Bank of Scotland in the centre of the town. Now, they don't look in the best shape at the moment. We're not going to lie to you. Been redundant for many years, but also don't let those tactics fool you. Most of the issues are cosmetic. We are confident that we will source capital funding to refurbish them and have the support of organisations such as First Port, who assist social entrepreneurs, and Highlands and Islands Enterprise. With refurbishment, these are heated greenhouses, which will enable us to scale up to a commercial growing operation concentrated on greenhouse Mediterranean vegetables for sale to the community and hospitality businesses. It will also enable us to bring on plug plants, which could have a much further reach given interest in growing and ensuring that Scotland has a sustainable local food chain to address the climate emergency. There are also community growing projects like ours springing up all over Scotland. Now have been for a while, but even more so due to COVID, because it's outdoors and we can combat social isolation via growing projects. We also want to use the site, though, to provide training opportunities specifically for young people in employability and climate and land-based roles, encouraging and supporting them to form their own enterprises and also giving them life skills to succeed. We would also be able to offer permaculture courses and other recreational growing courses from the site. Our business plan with that capital investment to refurbish the greenhouses is very healthy and has the potential in time to scale up and develop. At the moment, the project has been labelled socially growing, growing vegetables and plants, but most importantly, growing people and community, and taking us towards a green recovery from COVID-19, addressing the issues young people feel are prevalent in the community in terms of a lack of opportunity and creating greater resilience in our food chain. Imagine being able to eat out in Thurso where all of the produce has been grown locally. That's the aim. Also, now, community meals, we always had in our strategic plan that we wanted to introduce some form of a meal service. We felt that there was a need. There is a need. Absolutely and completely know that there is a need. So all of those tasty vegetables from the greenhouses, like those currently from the community garden, will also help in cooking meals for a permanent meal service. If there was a service that has emerged from COVID that is needed within the community, then it is a permanent hot meal service. We started providing meals using supporting community funding from the Scottish Government in the first lockdown, and have been able to carry on with a weekly service without funding and through volunteer support. The costs are just covered to enable us to provide it, but we would like to go a step further, and there is a demand not just within our community, but in communities across Caithness for a permanent hot meal service for elderly residents. A similar project runs in Helmsdale called Connecting Communities and provides daily hot meals to Helmsdale, Brorak, Golspie and Dornoch. It isn't hugely profitable. It's not meant to be hugely profitable, but it does wash its own face and give employment opportunities. We've spoken to them a lot and looking at how a service for Caithness could be provided. The first step is that the Youth Club are currently seeking funding to refurbish their kitchen, which we would then hire. There is another reason for this in the next couple of slides, which I'll come to. We would need to secure funding for initial costs to make sure we can cover staff costs as we scale up and secure funding for an electric van for deliveries. Using volunteers for deliveries has been great and it's been amazing and they've all been superb, but it's not sustainable in the long term, especially not for a daily meal service. Service is literally old-fashioned Meals on Wheels, and it gives not just a nutritious meal. The alternative to nutritious meals after Meals on Wheels were phased out is microwave meals. So this does give a hot, nutritious, well-balanced meal to elderly people, quite often people who are experiencing dementia. And we also find as well that we support quite a lot of couples where one is experiencing dementia, and so it is difficult to cook. So it's not something that people would need to take every day, but if we scale it up across Caithness, it means that people could pick and choose their days. We know that there's a demand for the service and that it would work based on the experience from Connecting Communities and the advice that they've given us. So this is where we come to the other reason for the Youth Club, because we need a new office as well. We currently rent our office from Thurso Youth Club, but it's now not large enough for us. All of the work of the past 12 months has increased us as an organisation. We now have 7 staff members, all but I'm the only full-time, the rest are all part-time, but we do make up 3.5 full-time equivalent staff. And we're looking to add more. We also really want to be able to offer young people opportunities, not only through the greenhouses, but through other projects, and want to recruit people via Kickstart, the government scheme to give employability to young people, Community Jobs Scotland, and hopefully modern apprenticeships. The office that we currently have in the youth club is not large enough for us to be able to deliver that. So we need to move to bigger premises. Hence why our rental for the office, if we can make a meal service work, so that the youth club is also earning an income via what we're able to do. Even if we weren't currently working from home, we wouldn't be able to work in our office. As we've amassed so much equipment over the past year, the office has become a glorified storage room. To work with young people, we need to be in an office again and have space for social distancing. We also want to be able to do more town centre work, and as a community anchor, be more available in the community. So, for example, at the moment, people find it difficult to find us, just looking for advice and support. And as a community anchor, we're there to support other organisations and other people within the community. It's not all about making our organisation stronger, it's about making Thurso stronger. So being more available would enable us to be able to do that. There are empty spaces in the town centre at present, and taking one of those would enable us as an organisation to do more, but also regenerate the town centre and have us close by to assist it. We know that our core is securing a community hub, but due to the social isolation under COVID, we really need to bring small groups together as soon as we can, either in our own premises or utilising others which are accessible and close to our base. So we need a town centre presence and larger office, but we also need it to pay its own way. So our solution is that we need to generate income to support our core activities, and that would be to develop a zero waste refill shop in the town centre. We've identified temptations and discussed the lease with Katie and identified funding to get us started off. We would have space for small workshops and groups, building on recycling and reusing and combating social isolation groups, but would also make use of other premises nearby to deliver larger events and workshops. We would have space on the second floor for an open plan office for our own use and meetings, plus desk space available to other third sector and voluntary organisations who might need use of a desk and space. The third floor would be used for storage. There is also a very convenient small room on the second floor which has entry from a separate door and staircase, which could be used as a mental health safe space and for private meetings with community members experiencing issues. The business plan demonstrates that we work with the capital funding, and we've sought advice and are getting support from Zero Waste Scotland, HIGH and Development Trust Association Scotland. But to make it work, we need the legal entity to enable us to trade. We need that for all of the plans mentioned, for one other special development. So I'm going to hand over to Emma, our newest board member, who is going to tell you more about how we go about this.
Hi everyone. So to make all of what Joan's just discussed happen, we need to form a legal trading entity. So doing this means that we will be able to generate our own income and be less reliant on grant funding, which can sometimes be complicated, and often the needs of the project don't meet a funder's expectations, as well as the fact that charities are only permitted to gain a certain level of their income from running a business. There's also stipulations on what exactly can be sold and run as a business. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't trade. It just means that we need to have a legally registered business that sits alongside the charity to enable trade to happen. And then any profits are given over as a donation to the charity. So going back to our plans with Discover Thurso before March 2020, we were investigating forming a trading company and looking at the usual route, which would be just to form a linked business. But after further investigation and looking at our strategic plan as a whole, along with all the new identified needs that COVID has brought along, we think that there is a better way. And that is forming a community benefit society, which enables trade, but has greater democracy, benefit and transparency than a normal trading company. So on that note, we'd like to tell you a little bit more about a community benefit society and one very special function that it enables us to do. So a community benefit society is regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. So for a start, there is a greater level of scrutiny and legislation around it than a normal trading company. They are protected by the same legislation as a cooperative, but have a unique difference in that where a cooperative is for the benefit of its members, and if you have a co-op card, you'll know what we mean by that with the small dividends that you receive. The purpose of a community benefit society is to serve the broader interests of the community. So in contrast to a cooperative that serves the interests of its members. So this means that all of the activities and services run by a community benefit society must be run in the interests of and for the benefits of the community. So in our case, the meal service meets the needs of elderly residents. The zero waste shop enables the community to reduce plastic waste and contributes to net zero climate change targets. And the greenhouses do this and fulfill the needs of a locally sustainable, resilient food chain. The community also has a say in how the community benefit society is run through a one member, one vote system and a democratically elected board. We wouldn't have that under a normal trading company. All profits are then reinvested back into the community, as well as the fact that the assets of the community benefit society are protected by an asset lock. So if the society does fail in any way, the assets of buildings and equipment would pass back to the community. They can't be lost or sold. And there's another special feature of a community benefit society, which is one we feel is really important in meeting the needs of the Thurso community. And that is, we can offer a community share option. Now, we don't intend to do this straight away for the initial businesses, but it is an option if we need to do so. We can apply for grant funding to begin with to start the businesses off, as they will make a profit pretty quickly. But there's one project that Thurso has told us from the start of any consultations that we have done, and that is the need for a community hub in Thurso. Now, this past year has seen that need become even more prominent, and we'll admit ourselves that when we first started all of this and first mentioned the drill hall, we were thinking of a beautiful hall and how it would look maybe more than the needs it would fulfill. But COVID-19 has changed all that, and we now have a community of members who need a facility. We need, as an organisation, to run facilities, services and projects from a community hub to support the community. So services in well-being, employability, services that combat social isolation and bring people together no matter what their financial circumstances are. So having a community benefit society gives us the mechanism to hold a community share option in the drill hall as a community hub. Now, only if the drill hall proves feasible, which we are currently working on. And if that doesn't end up working, then we'll find a plan B for a community hub, because it's something that we really need. A community share option is important not just because it raises money. That's not the main reason why we want to have one. We have lost community buildings in Thurso, like the Town Hall and View Firth. So by holding a community share option, it means that any future community hub will belong to the people of Thurso. And this community share option has worked in other communities. A community share option has benefited other communities such as the Rockfield Centre in Oban. It raised over £200,000 in a community share option, as did the Bridge End Farmhouse in Edinburgh. And then also, have you tried Glenwyvis Gin? It's a community owned with a community share option, which raised 1.5 million. So community shares can be offered from as little as £25. Did I stop here, Joan? Is this going to be played first?
No, carry on what you're saying and then I'll play it.
Brilliant. Tell me when to stop, right? So
don't go to the next bit.
right, perfect. Okay, so community shares can be offered from as little as £25 or even lower if we decide to, and everyone has an equal share in the community business. Plus, it isn't the same as a donation. After a certain period of time, people can have their investment back if they choose to. So community shares are being used across Scotland to give community ownership to shops, pubs, renewables, gin distilleries and community hubs. Are you going to play now, John? Is there sound?
Did you all hear that?
No.
Okay, give me 2 seconds.
What mattered to our neighbours and our community is that we would have a strong, thriving high street where we can buy what we need to buy and have a friendly conversation. So a lot of our members bought shares for 25 quid, really just to support the cause. They really wanted to see the shop open and they really wanted to be able to shop here and contribute to it. I don't think a lot of people were really expecting an interest rate on their £25 share.
Our community shares attracted people who wanted an ethical investment. You know, in our case, it was renewable energy.
It makes about £120,000 a year, and all the profit from that goes to a community benefit fund.
Building a new community-owned primary school, which we think is the first of its kind in Scotland, has been really a huge challenge. But what mattered most to the community was securing the future of our children.
What matters to the community, there's a number of things. Certainly one of them was producing green energy. We've got a number of people that have invested £250 or £500. There's a fair number of people who put a little bit more in. But there's a very large proportion of people that have put money in, I think because they saw it as a good community project.
And what really matters to us as individuals is that sense of community and a sense of opportunity, actually creating something really positive.
So, what we are proposing is forming a community benefit society, and it's under a hybrid model of rules which the Development Trust Association Scotland and Community Share Scotland have come up with, have worked up. And this is where we get to legal technicalities. But it means by doing this that the Development Trust, which is us, have the controlling interest in the Community Benefit Society, meaning that the members, which are you guys, have a say in how it develops and have an influence to ensure that the Community Benefit Society acts in the best interests of the community. So of course you can join the Community Benefit Society and there is no need to buy a share to do so. Similar to the membership of the trust, it will be free of charge. If you accept our proposal tonight to form a Community Benefit Society, we would need 20 founding members to form the Community Benefit Society, and we can have it established in a matter of weeks. From those 20 members, we would then elect a board, and Marion is going to tell you a little bit about what being a board member means shortly. 25% of board members of the Community Benefit Society will come from the trust, as well as them being trust board members also. So as the trust will be controlling the controlling anchor, with any surplus profits being donated to the trust to further charitable aims. Those trust board members will also ensure that the Community Benefit Society is accountable for just that, community benefit and fulfilling the strategic plan and aims of the Trust as you, our community, have asked of us in our many consultations. So that hopefully covers everything. We'll take questions now before moving to our vote. And if we are successful, we'll see how many of you would like to become founding members. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Joan and Emma. I hope everybody found that useful. And we're now at the position where if anybody has any questions, you can either use your reactions hand or put your actual hand up.
You can't let us away that easy.
Yeah, I was just
somebody must have a question for us.
Okay. We have actually got a question, and yeah, okay, it's sorted. You're okay, Hilary, you can vote. Yeah, this is amazing. No? Well, rather a question, anybody? Sorry, what was that, Marion?
Sharon Desmore had her hand up, did she?
Oh, right. Thank you, Sharon. Yes.
I just want, could Emma, could you go over the last two paragraphs about the how it was compiled for me? I was a bit slow on the offtake, so I just to ask you just to repeat a bit of information, if that's all right. Just how how the makeup is made up.
Oh, like the board and like the 25% and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. So let me go back to. So yeah, the founding members. So if the proposal is accepted, we would need 20 founding members to form the Community Benefit Society. And then after that, we can get things moving and get things established pretty quickly. 25% of the board members of the Community Benefit Society will come from the Trust. So they will be board members sitting on the Community Benefit Society as well as the Development Trust Board as well. And that's because the Trust is the controlling anchor, and then any surplus profits will go back to them. And that will further their charitable aims. And another reason for the Trust board members being on the Community Benefit Society board is that they'll ensure that the Community Benefit Society is accountable for benefiting the community and fulfilling the strategic plan of the Development Trust, and basically the aims of the Trust, and making sure that we're fulfilling what the community has asked to be done. Does that make sense?
Good. Thanks, Emma. Yes, Hilary.
As a board member, how much sort of time are you looking at for somebody to commit to do that?
Is that a board member for the Community Benefit Society? We do anticipate there would be monthly meetings, but there would be a fair bit of work in between, because I'm saying a fair bit of work. It's not going to be one of these ones where you turn up once a month and then that's it. There will certainly have to be work in between, because you have to understand those three projects we described, they're all just new, they're all just starting up. There's going to be quite a lot of work to be done, to get everything set up. Once everything's up and running, it'll be all tickety-boo, but the hard part's going to get everything set up. I have also to say, it's really exciting stuff as well, though. You're really going to see change happening. You're in at the beginning of really making something happen.
Okay.
Is that okay, or do you want
to? That's fine. It's just difficult for you to answer, I know, because it's.
I have to say that if anybody is really interested, there will be an opportunity. We're more than happy for you to get in touch with us separately out with this meeting and discuss it in more detail. Okay, I don't want to put anybody off, you see, who's keen, because remember, as you know, this is a bit further forward, but if we agree to this proposal, we're going to lose some of our trust board members as well. So we're going to have to bring new trust members on, as well as set up a completely new board, because a few of the existing trust members have agreed to become a basis for the new board. If everybody understands that.
I think as well, Hilary, Marian's going to run through what it means to be a board member as well. But
yeah.
One of the advantages to an organisation like ours is you do have staff. So there are staff who, you know, we do some of the grunt work, quite a lot of it, and also try to support, like we do very much of an ethos within the trust that we're trying to support all the board members. We don't expect board members to know everything straight away, to be able to commit loads and loads of time straight away, like it is taking you through the process. Like we're all learning and developing, and that applies to board members the same as it does to staff, and the same as the community as well.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Donna.
Donna, right, okay.
we have to remind her constantly, Donna.
Sorry, I'll just come off mute. Once the board, you know, voted that is to go forward, the members of the board that are both Thurso Community Development Trust board members and who sit on the board, will those people have kind of positions? Is it expected those people have positions like chair, secretary? Is there even such a thing as a chair and a secretary within this board? How is that kind of set up?
Yes, sorry, right, I was just yeah, do you want to take it, Joan, or will I? Yeah.
It'll be up to those. So we need to be able to put it to the Financial Conduct Authority, which is very similar to, if any of you have been involved in running a kind of community organisation that's registered itself as a charity, you have to submit your constitution to OSCR. And it's the very same principle with the Community Benefit Society, but we submit it to the Financial Conduct Authority. And in order to be able to do that, we need to have the 20 founding members. We can have more than 20, and we'll be putting something out to all trust members and the community as well if they want to join the Community Benefit Society, if you guys pass it tonight. But it would then be up to those founding members to democratically elect the board of the Community Benefit Society. Now, 25% of those places will be taken up by trust board members. So if we get 8 people that go on the board, then you'll have 2 trust board members. If you get 12 people who go on the board, you'll have 3 trust members. But it'll then be up to that board to choose who their chairperson, their secretary and their treasurer are. So it won't be, it doesn't mean that it has to be a trust board member who is an office bearer in the new organisation.
Lovely, thanks, Joan.
Kathy's got a question in the chat. Kathy,
I think I was perhaps getting confused between board members on the trust and in the you know, the Community Benefit Society. So what I was meaning is for the other members, earlier on you'd mentioned people being elected, but do you mean the office bearers being elected in that board?
Joan?
No, everybody's elected within the members. It's the same as the trust board are elected from the members as well. But what tends to happen in a small community like ours is you don't actually get enough board members to stand to force an election. You know, the trust board by our constitution is we have 12 spaces for elected board members and 3 co-ops. And so for the Community Benefit Society, say it's 12 board members, will we get 12 people to stand for that to force an election? You know, it depends on who wants to stand for it. If you've only got 8 and we actually need 12, you're not going to have an election. You've pretty much elected yourself, basically.
It's my knowledge of how these work. So thank you for that. Thank you.
And Gemma's asking, what would the members be doing if they're not on the board?
Much the same as what trust board members do now, Gemma. So supporting the organisation, getting regular updates on what's going on, having members meetings. I think it's probably quite likely to begin with the Community Benefit Society that we might have, if we're working with a smaller group of members, then we might have more members meetings as we sort of go forward and set everything up. And then it would expand, because I think that we're not intending on being hugely, you know, like, we will put it out to the community and to trust members, but it's going to be confusing for a while and getting the communication right, and that you've got two organisations that are looking for members. Where that membership's really going to come into play is if we do a community share option, and that's where you get your big chunk of membership coming through.
Anybody else? Any more questions? No. Just check my second screen. Everybody okay on the over here? Right. Okay. Well, that takes us then, if everybody's sure you have no, and I mean, please don't worry if you're still not sure about certain bits of it. Believe me, we're still finding our way with this too, and trying to get it clear in our heads exactly how it's going to work. So, you know, we will be available to answer questions throughout, you know, the whole way along. And hopefully things will become clearer as we take it step by step as well. So that brings us to the point, we need to propose that we have a vote on it. Could somebody propose it, and could I get a seconder as well, please? Emma?
Yeah, I'll propose. So I'll propose that we form a community benefit society.
Okay, thanks. And I'm looking for a seconder. Seconder, right, thanks, Scott. Okay, thank you, Scott. That's Scott Shearer seconded. Okay, that then takes us to the actual bit with the poll, and I'm going to hand over to Joan now to kind of talk us through that bit.
No, do you want to carry on talking for 2 minutes, because the poll's disappeared and I've got to set it back up again?
Okay.
Carry on.
This is such fun, isn't it? This is just wonderful. Right, okay. Anybody want to tell a joke? No, we won't do a little bit. We could actually do a wee trailer. You know, I don't know if you've seen Facebook and our social media, in that we've got a really big event next week coming off, which we're all really chuffed about and looking forward to. If you haven't found out, but I must kind of just put a wee red flag up and say his language is a bit colourful, and if you're easily offended, please don't go looking for it, okay? But it should be really, really good.
There's a question from Hilary, Helen.
Yeah. Yes, Hilary?
In the chat, sorry.
Oh, in the chat, sorry. Right, how many board members do we currently have? Is that currently we have got on the Development Trust, we've got 12 board members and 1 co-opted member. And Alison, oh, there's the poll up.
I'm good to go now.
Right, okay. Can we do this and then I'll come back to you, Alison, okay? Right. So basically you just hit what everybody who is able to vote, and everybody's clarified that. So we're all right. So if you are able to vote, can you just, you know, highlight which one you want and submit it. And I don't know, Alison. Alison, are you still, Alison, right, okay. Yes, sorry, we should have said earlier on. If you do have further questions or comments, what the best way to contact us is to email us on info@thursocdt.co.uk, and maybe one of my kind board members will pop that into the chat for you, okay? That's our info email address, and it's picked up, you know, and we, you know, anything we can get back to you then directly.
Thank you.
Is there anybody who hasn't voted yet who is entitled to vote? I mean, I can tell, I mean, I'll show you the screen in a minute. It's fairly unanimous, like absolutely unanimous. Where are we? Share results. So there we go.
There we go. Right. Okay. Well, there you are. Right. That's it. Yeah. Well, we're going to have a community benefit society now. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. That's absolutely brilliant. We're really delighted with that.
Sorry, Helen, just before you go, Hilly, can I just check, did you mean how many board members have we got for the Community Benefit Society, not the Trust?
I think I'm probably getting a bit confused between the two, because again, I've not been very much involved with it, so it's my head's a wee bit confused between what's what and how it all runs. But that's fine. I can get that clarified. That's okay. But yes, I think what I was meaning.
I think Helen's just going to go through those kind of bits just now anyway, and then Maureen's going to speak a bit about being a board member, as we try to call some of you to be board members. I'm not calling you, but
okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody. That's absolutely brilliant. So basically, we actually will need new board members for both boards. If I take the existing trust, the Community Development Trust, some of our current members have agreed to come off the trust and to become you know, sort of part of the new board. So I think there's something like about 3 of them have agreed to do that. So that then leaves us with, you know, that means that the trust will actually have less members. Now, the trust will continue to function. It won't be doing, you know, the same, it won't be working on those projects that are going over to the Community Benefit Society, but we will be continuing with things like, you know, our projects are, we've got the sharing shed, we've got the community support, we've got the harbour toilets. There are other things as well which have escaped me, but we're fundraising. That's the other one. That's the other biggie that we've got as well. That will remain in the Development Trust, and the Development Trust will also be the part of the organisation which will be constantly assessing needs and making sure that needs are being met, and, you know, dialogue with the community as well. So we'll need a few more to do that. Currently, apart from those 2 or 3 people from the existing board who have agreed to move over to the new Community Benefit Society, we need a whole new board for the Community Benefit Society. So we are looking for a fair few people to fill those shoes. Okay. Right. I'm now going to hand over to Marion, who's going to tell you a bit about actually being a board member.
Hello, everybody. Firstly, thank you all very much for voting. This is quite an exciting night now. We can proceed. I was actually thinking, what am I going to do if they say no and I have a whole speech prepared about them saying yes? So firstly, thank you for your votes tonight, and thank you for being here. I think it would be a lot easier if we used the word members, so that we've got board members and we've got community members, and it can all get quite confusing. But I guess the bottom line is to please just get in touch with us, ask questions. The current trust board will tell you I'm the queen of questions. If I don't understand, I pick that brain until I fully understand. So in general terms, being a board member, as I'm sure lots of you will be aware, is attending meetings, making decisions as best as we can on the voices that we've heard from you guys, our community members, and being an advocate, not just for the trust, but for Thurso itself. So also trying to keep an eye out for opportunities and engage in interesting conversations and try and slip our name in there, you know, that kind of thing. And from my personal point of view, the main aim of the trust, and will be the main aim of the Community Benefit Society, is that we want to make Thurso a better place to live, work and visit for all. So although the Community Benefit Society will benefit from people that might be experienced in business, maybe finance, maybe you have a bunch of experience in other charitable organisations who have tried to do some of these projects that we're looking at, and that would be Community Benefit Society board members, or if you've been involved in charity fundraising before, or any community growing, any of that kind of stuff, then you would be an asset for the trust board. But I think above all else, if you share the passion for Thurso that you guys obviously do, you're here tonight, then we would love to have a chat with you about it. We don't know everything all the time. We are very much a learn as you go organisation. Helen actually said the other evening, and it was quite poignant, she's like, if you ever hear me saying, but this is how we've always done it, have a word. And I think that that's a really important thing to remember. That's something that we kind of pride ourselves on, that we want to be innovative, we want to think outside the box. And that usually means we start off not having a clue what we're doing. But where's the fun in doing something you've done 100 times before? So I think that's the invitation, is if you guys share our passion, then we would love to have a conversation with you. If you share our passion and have a bunch of experience in business, charities, and all these other good stuff, then yeah, you're getting signed up. But basically what we need is for people to have a willingness to commit. It is, as Hilary asked it, we will be having at least monthly board meetings, and at the moment there's a lot of paperwork and legal things that it's important we get right, but there is a lot of fun stuff as well. And as the presentations told you this evening, I think everybody, well, I hope everybody is feeling a little bit excited about what potentially could be coming next, and I hope it'll be an exciting thing to be a part of, something to be proud of as well. And again, I'm looking at my notes here now. So, and the other thing that I think it's important to mention, as Hilary mentioned, and I think somebody else asked, what the members can be doing is, we have, since COVID, I think Joan mentioned, over 140 volunteers came forward just in 2020 to help us with community support. And that has been incredible. At some points, it's been overwhelming to know, wow, there's so many people who want to help. We need to find jobs for these people. We want to help people feel valued and useful. And so we've found plenty to do, don't you worry. But we actually have a Facebook group called Team Thurso, where us as trust board members and our active volunteers all kind of share experiences and opportunities as well. So if you are thinking, oh, I'd quite like to be involved, but I'm not sure I'd like to be a board member straight away, I'd like to know a little bit more, then we would welcome you to join that group. Just last week, early this week, I'm not sure what day it is these days, but I put a post out to say, you know, we had a really lovely chat about the shearing shed. There's a small group of us that operate that, and we've welcomed another volunteer just on the back of that post to get involved. And that's no commitment, there's no board commitment, there's nothing like that, but it's a way for you to dip your toe in the water. And I promise I won't try too hard to convert you onto the board after that. I think that's me, unless you want me to bribe anymore.
Has anybody got any questions for Marion? No? Yes, Hilary?
Is there a maximum number of board members?
Yes, for the Development Trust, yes, yeah. There is. We have spaces for 12.
Well, cheers. Thank you.
And I think it's up to 3 co-opted members as well.
The Community Benefit Society would be, we've got to go through, what happens with that is we've got model articles that go towards the Financial Conduct Authority, but it's likely there would be 12 board members on it. That would be the maximum.
Yeah.
And if we've got anything less than 12, then we don't necessarily need to have an election because you've signed up, you've elected yourself. But if there's more than 12 people stand for either board, then we would need to have an election.
I noticed Sharon's asked in chat, what is the timeline in taking on board members for the Community Benefit Society? Well, it's basically as quickly as possible, because we've got we do want to get this set up fairly quickly, so that allows us to progress these projects.
Yeah, our time scale is currently to secure the asset transfer of the greenhouses, we would like that to go to the Highland Council Communities Committee for their May meeting. But we need to submit both our business plan and our asset transfer proposal. If anybody doesn't know what community asset transfers are, basically it's not just Highland Council, though it generally in these parts does revolve around Highland Council. It can be any publicly owned land or buildings. You can apply to take a community asset transfer if you think that you can run them better, if you think that they would be better off in community ownership. And you basically make an application to the council with a proposal. So our proposal would be either to lease them for a period of 15 years for £1 a year, which you never actually pay the pound, which is the same scenario as what we have for our community garden, or to actually take them into ownership, which would be, we would offer to pay £1 most likely for them. And because the Highland Council doesn't want to pay to maintain them any longer, they would then say, as long as our business plan stacks up, that we will be able to continue running it in a sustainable way, which our business plan looks very good for, then they would then pass the ownership of it to us. But we really want to get it to that communities committee in May, so that we can start taking on some young people and start training them and giving them opportunities, which means that we really need to have the Community Benefit Society up and running really by mid-March so that we can make that application in that way.
Which leads me on to what we are actually looking for from people here tonight. Is anybody willing to be part of that 20 initial membership? If you are, could I ask you just to maybe put your name into the chat? Or alternative.
Sorry.
What was that? What's that? Sorry.
I just I remembered something that I should have said. So just while people pop their names into the chat, I thought I would just mention that I kind of said that we learn as we go as a group, and there, we manage to do that by the support that we get from fellow organisations. So we are part of Development Trust Association Scotland. The girls mentioned it in their presentation, and being a part of that association allows us to basically ping off messages that says, we want to do this, how do you do it? We would like to try this, what do you think? And that's where we get our kind of, yes, go for it, you would be allowed to do this, but make sure you've done that. And that's where we had all these conversations about trading, and Joan went and discussed with Development Trust Association Scotland and put us in touch with the Community Shares group, and we got lots and lots of really useful information. So I guess it's just a reminder that, yeah, we don't always know exactly what we're doing, but there are lots of places out there that can support us as a group to make informed decisions.
Yeah, thank you, Marianne. Okay, now the other thing is we did put up the info email. If anybody's sort of thinking, well, I really want to know more about this, or I'd like to kind of, talk to someone about it, can you please get in touch with us? But we would be looking for, we would be wanting you to get in touch with us sooner rather than later in terms of the Community Benefit Society. That's just so that we can get set up. Ultimately, you can join at any time as a member, and then the initial 20 people will elect will elect their committee. That's perfect, Tanya. That's perfect. We need members as much as we need board members. Excellent. That's brilliant. Wait a minute. Where are we at now? Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, we're there, I think, because I haven't put my name down, and I would be quite happy to be one of the original 20 members as well. So I think we're there. Because we have got there are a few of our original board members who will also be. Yeah, Emma and Marion, you'll be part of it too, eh? Yeah, right, we're 18, 19, yep. Yeah, that's us. Okay, hang on. Right, that's us at 20. We can take more. 20 is the minimum we need. So please don't worry if you want to have a wee think about it or get into us in the next couple of days. We have a list. Could somebody, Andrea, have you got a list of everybody who's agreed?
Yeah.
Right,
I
that's
was
perfect.
going to cut and paste out the chat as well. Somebody please remind me to do it.
Yeah.
We don't have forms yet for members of the Community Benefit Society, but I will work on that this week. I've actually been off sick all week, so that's why we're not as prepared as we might normally be. And then we'll get that out via email, and then we'll see about having the first sort of members meeting of the Community Benefit Society, and see where we go to them for the next steps.
Alison, that's absolutely brilliant. No problem that you don't actually live here at the moment. But you know, I don't know. Are you kind of looking at the Facebook pages and the website? That'll keep you in touch with what we're doing as well, and keep you up to date.
Yeah, I follow you from afar. Don't you worry. So I know what you're up to. And I'm actually down in the south of England at the moment, but do a very similar thing down here. So we might be able to be useful to each other in the short term.
Excellent. Right. Okay. That's, I think, has anybody any questions? Is there anything we have to do yet? No, we're all right. Well, can I just sincerely thank you all very, very much. Thank you so much for coming along. Thank you for doing the Zoom thing with us. It's been absolutely brilliant. We've managed to achieve something, and hopefully it's onwards and upwards from here. So thank you very much. And could I thank Joan and Emma, Marion, and the kind of backroom people of Carol and Sand, Ron and Andrea for all your support as well and helping putting this together. Okay, so thank you everybody.